Nick Land's meltdown continued. The postmodern meltdown of culture into the economy is triggered by the fractal interlock of commoditization and computers. A transcalar entropy dissipation from international trade to market-oriented software that thaws out competitive dynamics from the cryonics bank of modernist corporatism. Commerce re-implements space inside itself, assembling a universe exhaustively imminent to cyber-capital functionality. Neoclassical equilibrium economics is subsumed into computer-based non-equilibrium market escalations, themed by artificial agencies, imperfect information, suboptimal solutions, lock-in, increasing returns and convergence. The postmodern meltdown of culture into the economy is triggered by the fractal interlock of commoditization and computers. A transcalar entropy dissipation from international trade to market-oriented software that thaws out competitive dynamics from the cryonics bank of modernist corporatism. Commerce re-implements space inside itself, assembling a universe exhaustively imminent to cyber-capital functionality. Neoclassical equilibrium economics is subsumed into computer-based non-equilibrium market escalations, themed by artificial agencies, imperfect information, suboptimal solutions, lock-in, increasing returns and convergence. As digitally micro-tuned market metaprograms mesh with technoscientific soft engineering, positive non-linearity rages through the machines, cyclonic torsion moans. The superiority of Far Eastern Marxism. Whilst Chinese materialist dialectic denegativizes itself in the direction of schizophrenizing systems of dynamics, progressively dissipating top-down historical destination in Tao-drenched special economic zones, a re-Hegelianized Western Marxism degenerates from the critique of political economy into a state-sympathizing monotheology of economics, siding with fascism against deregulation. The left subsides into nationalistic conservatism, asphyxiating its vestigial capacity for hot speculative mutation in a morass of cold, depressive guilt culture. Neoconservatism junks paleo-revolutionism because it understands that postmodern or climax cynicism capital is saturated by critique, and that it merely clocks up theoretical antagonism as inconsequential redundancy. Communist iconography has become raw material for the advertising industry, and denunciations of the spectacle sell interactive multimedia. The left degenerates into securocratic collaboration with pseudo-organic unities of self, family, community, nation, with their defensive strategies of repression, projection, denial, censorship, exclusion, and restriction. The real danger comes from elsewhere. Hot revolution. Which is the revolutionary path, Deleuze and Guattari ask? Is there one? To withdraw from the world market, as Samir Amin advises third world countries to do, in a curious reversal of the fascist economic solution? Or might it go in the opposite direction? To go still further, that is, in the movement of the market, of decoding and deterritorialization. For perhaps the flows are not yet deterritorialized enough, not decoded enough, from the viewpoint of a theory and practice of highly schizophrenic character. Not to withdraw from the process, but to go further, to accelerate the process, as Nietzsche put it. In this matter, the truth is, we haven't seen anything yet. As Sino-Pacific boom and automatized global economic integration crashes the neo-colonial world system, the metropolis is forced to re-endogenize its crisis. Hyperfluid capital, deterritorializing to the planetary level, divests the first world of geographic privilege, resulting in Euro-American neo-mercantilist panic reactions, welfare state deterioration, cancerizing enclaves of domestic underdevelopment, political collapse, and the release of cultural toxins that speed up the process of disintegration in a vicious circle. A convergent anti-authoritarianism emerges, labelled by tags such as meltdown acceleration, Siberian invasion, schizotechnics, K-tactics, bottom-up bacterial warfare, efficient neo-nihilism, voodoo anti-humanism, synthetic feminization, rhizomatics, connectionism, Quang contagion, viral amnesia, microinsurgency, winter mutation, neotropy, dissipator proliferation, and lesbian vampirism, amongst other designations. Frequently pornographic, abusive, or terroristic in nature. This massively distributed matrix network tendency is oriented to the disabling of ROM command control programs sustaining all macro and micro governmental entities globally, concentrating themselves as the human security system. Before AI arrives in the lab, it arrives itself by way of artificial life. Where formalist AI is incremental and progressive, caged in the pre-specified databases and processing routines of expert systems, connectionist or anti-formalist AI is explosive and opportunistic, engineering time. It breaks out non-locally across intelligenic networks that are technical but no longer technological, since they elude both theory dependency and behavioral predictability. No one knows what to expect. The Turing cops have to model net sentience eruption as ultimate nuclear accident, core meltdown, loss of control, soft auto-replication feeding regeneratively into social fission, trashed meat all over the place. Reason enough for anxiety, even without hardware development about to go critical. Nanocataclysm begins as fictional science. Our ability to arrange atoms lies at the foundation of technology, Drexler notes, although this has traditionally involved manipulating them in unruly herds. The precision engineering of atomic assemblies will dispense with such crude methods, initiating the age of molecular machinery, the greatest technological breakthrough in history. Since neither logos nor history have the slightest chance of surviving such a transition, this description is substantially misleading. The distinction between nature and culture cannot classify molecular machines, and is already obsolesced by genetic engineering. Wet nanotechnics. The hardware-software dichotomy succumbs at the same time. Nanotechnics dissolves matter into intensive singularities that are neutral between particles and signals and immanent to their emergent intelligence, melting terra into a seething K-pulp, which, unlike grey goo, synthesizes microbial intelligence as it proliferates. Even with 1 million bytes of storage, a nanomechanical computer could fit in a box a micron wide, about the size of a bacterium. The infrastructure of power is human Neurosoft-compatible ROM. Authority instantiates itself as linear instruction pathways, genetic baboonry, scriptures, traditions, rituals, and gerontocratic hierarchies, resonant with the Dominator R myth that the nature of reality has already been decided. If you want to find ice, try thinking about what is blocking you out of the past. It certainly isn't a law of nature. Temporalization decompresses intensity, installing constraint. Convergent waves signal singularities, registering the influence of the future upon its past. Tomorrow can take care of itself. K-tactics is not a matter of building the future but of dismantling the past. It assembles itself by charting and escaping the technical and neurochemical deficiency conditions for linear progressive paleo-domination time, and discovers that the future as virtuality is accessible now, according to a mode of machinic adjacency that securitized social reality is compelled to repress. This is not remotely a question of hope, aspiration, or prophecy, but of communications engineering, connecting with the efficient intensive singularities and releasing them from constriction within linear historical development. Virtuality counterposes itself to history as invasion to accumulation. It is matter as a rival, even when camouflaged as a deposit of the past. The transcendent evaluation of an infection presupposes a measure of insulation from it. Viral efficiency is the terminal criterion. Intelligent infections tend their hosts. Metrophage, an interactively escalating parasitic replicator, sophisticating itself through non-linear involvement with techno-capitalist immunocrash. Its hyper-virulent terminal subroutines are variously designated Quang, meltdown virus, or futuristic flu. In an emphatically anti-Siberian essay, Cicely Renee describes the postmodern version of this outbreak in quaintly humanist terms as a retrochronal semiovirus in which a time further in the future than the one in which we exist and choose infects the host present, reproducing itself in simulacra until it destroys all the original chronocytes of the host imagination. The elaboration of Cicely Renee's diagnosis exhibits a mixture of acuity, infection, confusion, and profound conservatism. Not thinking about increasing the human heritage dams up the flow of cultural time and deprives future generations both of their birthright as participants in the life struggle and attainments of the species, and the very notion of history as an irreversible flow encompassing generation, maturation, and the transference of wisdom and trust from parents to children, teachers to students. The futuristic flow is a weapon of biopsychic violence sent by psychopathic children against their narcissistic parents. It's war.